Okay, good morning. I'm doing this podcast at my workplace. I have a few minutes before class, so I wanted to actually do an extension of the last podcast on the Pureland. I feel that I wasn't able to do it justice because, well, it was rather short, and the reason why I cut it short was because I was beginning to have some, silly thoughts in my head, regarding the Pureland. And I didn't want to make it I didn't want to make it a joke. Okay, I was saying that I'm going to the Pure Land. I hope to meet you there. um I was getting silly, so I stopped it, at around 8 minutes into the podcast. This is an extension because there are certain things that I wanted to talk about, okay, regarding the Pure Land. The title of this episode is Pure Land as Logos. Okay, so what is Logos? There's always been a notion that reality can be divided into at least two levels. And you have the physical reality, or the world as it's perceived, no, to our senses. And then you have a higher reality, which is called Logos. It's like if we are to take Plato, for example, it's the world of ideas. It's a mental world. Okay? It's the world of the mind. If we try to understand it from a Christian perspective, it's the world of the spirit. Because logos, no, means mind or nous in Greek, and also logos can refer to heaven, no, in the Christian religion. So this idea of having two levels of reality, the world of the mind and the world of matter, of space and time, which is what I call it, has always been there. Our ancestors have always believed in a spirit world. One time when I was taking my students to the foothills of Mount Canlaon, we stopped by to take a picture. We on our way, we were in a school bus. On our way, we could see Mount Canlaon. That was years back. It was majestic. It was so clear. There were no clouds in sight, just a blue sky and the mountains. So I said, this is a good place to take a picture. So we stopped the bus and we went out now to take pictures of the mountain, the volcano. And it only took us around 2 minutes to go down from the bus. But the moment we got to the roadside, to take pictures of the mountain, clouds covered it, and we were wondering, where did the clouds come from? And then there was this old man beside the road also looking at us, and he was laughing. He said, Kanloon doesn't want to be disturbed. Okay. And then he said that we were noisy. We were disrespectful. That's why Kanloon covered herself. So this kind of thinking is a remnant of how our ancestors used to think, that there's a spirit or an anito behind everything. Behind a rock, behind a tree, there's a spirit. There's Mount there's Maria Makiling, the spirit of Mount Makiling. She is also said to be some kind of a diwata, walking along the banks uh, of the creeks, no, or the river along Mount Makiling. And so we've always had that idea that everything has a spiritual side to it. By spiritual, we're not actually just referring to soul, no, but there's a mental aspect to it. If we are to take Plato, for example, he believes that everything that we see, every object that we perceive with our senses, has a mental form. That is actually even more basic than the perceptions or the things that we see. Okay, let me try to explain that. What we see are just perceptions. We don't actually see objects directly. Okay, this is a philosophical podcast, and I'm hoping that I'm talking to people who are at least familiar with this philosophical concept. We don't actually see things directly. Okay, what we see are images of that thing, images that come from our sensing it. We see it, we touch it, we feel it, we hear it, we smell it. Okay? And that is how we encounter the external world, not through our senses. But even beyond these perceptions is the idea of a thing. What makes a tree is the treeness of a tree. It's the essence of it. Okay? So when the Greeks talk about logos, they're referring not to the sense perceptions. What they're referring to is the essence of it. Okay? So if we are to take reality as a whole, okay, the perceived part of reality is what the Greeks called cosmos, and the essential part of reality, the Greeks call logos. Okay? And we can also understand logos to be that no which is behind, or it serves as a foundation. Okay? Foundation or the underlying reality behind everything. Okay, so we have things as they appear to us, and then we have the idea of a thing. Okay, the essence of a thing, no, which lies in another dimension. Now, why am I talking about logos and how does it apply to the Pure Land? Well, deep within the mind, if we are to meditate, for example, and we go past the level of thoughts and feelings, you can look at your thoughts, you can look at your feelings, you can be aware of this. But as you go down, 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 down into a more basic level, okay, and once you pass through the superficial things that lie just above the mind, if you go down deeper, you come to a bedrock of consciousness, which is very still, it's very peaceful. It is always there, okay? It is always there, but it is like, it's like, this is so hard to explain, but it's like the foundation of everything that I am. Um, so at surface level, I have this mind, I have this body and the bodily extensions, and I have my thoughts and I have my emotions and all of these things. But deeper, deeper, deeper as you go down, there is something that is pervasive, something that is vast. It is empty. It is empty, and because it's empty, it is peaceful, peaceful beyond words, really. And this, no, for me is the logos, the logos. If I am to talk about who I am, essentially, I cannot say that I'm the body because my body keeps growing old, but I don't grow old. I don't really feel my age. You can cut your hair, you can change your face, you can replace your limbs with bionic parts. That still won't change who you are, at least not mentally. Won't change who you are mentally. And then if you try to bracket the mind, okay, you can change your mind. You can, there's still something behind that. Okay, so who I am essentially is, well, uh, I was tempted to say consciousness, but it's not really consciousness because you can be conscious of consciousness. Okay. But whatever it is now, that is basically my Buddha nature. Okay, my Buddha nature. And this is not mystical, it's not magical. I'm not trying to say that I'm special. What I'm saying is that we all have this Buddha nature. It's actually the most important part of what we are. Okay. It is the logos, it's the essence of what we are. So we have been misled. We are in delusion. We're thinking that we're this or that I'm male, that I'm person, that I'm teaching in a school. I have all of these labels, no, attached to my ego. But once you are able to get through that, Once the ego is diminished, what is left is the Buddha nature. And the Buddha nature is the Pure Land. How did I get to that idea that that nature is the Pure Land? Because as we've said now in the last episode, wherever there is the Buddha, there is the Dharma, and then you have the Sangha. And whenever you have these three, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, that's the Pure Land. The Pure Land doesn't have to be a place outside of oneself. The Pure Land doesn't have to be in another dimension or in another system, solar system, star system, I mean. It doesn't have to be in another part of the universe. It can be our state of mind once we are empty, okay, of all the delusions of self, and we have attained this emptiness, so to speak. Uh, that is actually the Pure Land. Okay, so that is actually the Buddha. And again, wherever there's the pure Buddha, there's a Pure Land. So that was the gist of what I was trying to say in the last episode. And this Buddha nature it's always there and it can be accessed. And that's why we need the Dharma and we need the Guru. We need to have instruction so that we can know how to attain this. No, it can be attained through meditation. It can be attained through contemplation. It can be attained from reflection. But it can also come as a sudden insight. You know, the the inspiration can come in a flash, and all of a sudden or you're in touch with your Buddha nature. Okay. And this idea, again, also, I wanted to say this in the last episode. The idea of a Pure Land is not, um, it's not just Buddhist, okay? Even before the Tathagata, Sakyamuni Buddha, arrive in this material realm, the Indians believe that for every deity that they are devoted to, that they worship, there is a corresponding Pure Land. They call it a loka. Loka, from my understanding, is planet. Okay, like for example, Krishna has a Krishna Loka. Krishna Loka is the planet where Krishna resides along with the gopis. And if you are a devotee of Krishna, that is where you go after your death. If you merit going to a Pure Land like Krishna Loka, you actually go there. So it depends on the deity that you are devoted to. So Krishna devotees will go to Krishna Loka. Shivite devotees will go to Shiva Loka. Devotees of Hanuman will go to Hanuman Loka, so on and so forth. So the idea is not really Buddhist. It comes from something older. And you can understand it in a very, very simplistic manner that when we die, some part of ourself, if you can call it that, no? Self na alaya mind goes into another place, another planet where the deities and the bodhisattvas reside. Or it can be, as I've said, no, going into a higher state of consciousness or allowing you to continue your travels, no, with a Buddha, that somehow you get connected to a Buddha. And that for me, all of these things, no, that's the Pure Land. And so in this episode, I'm saying that the Pure Land is that essential part of who we are, the fundamental underlying reality of everything, no, our essential selves, and that would be, for me, no, that would be Buddha nature. So if you have any comments, any questions, no, please don't fail to get in touch. I'm always delighted, no, I'm always happy to discuss these things with anybody. So with that, no, gosh, so nito. Bye bye.